Hi everyone, it's Ray here from City Fan TV, and I'm joined by Radha today to talk about the exciting Continental Cup clash between Chelsea and Man City. How are you doing, Radha?
I'm doing very well, Ray. How are you?
I'm very good too. I'm just going to give this opportunity for Radha to tell us a little bit about her support for Chelsea and what else she does promoting women's football.
Yeah, thank you. Strangely enough, I started watching football through the women and not through the men. So I do support Chelsea, and I watch every Chelsea women's game possible that's streamed over here in India. Um, I'm 20 years old, so I'm still studying full time, but I'm either studying or I'm watching football. It's nothing else. And recently, I started a platform of my own called She Talks Ball, which is a platform which enhances and promotes stories of women in sports, and not just athletes, but people in the industry. It can be entrepreneurs, journalists, businesswomen. I think they have stories to share, and there is a demand for it too. So I'm getting into that very recently, and I'm kind of also building my portfolio. Done a few freelancing jobs within the sports industry, and yeah, I'm associated with Bayside Blues, which is the Mumbai Chelsea support group. And we're very excited for tonight's fixture. I think the group has been buzzing with score predictions and who's going to score and how much are we going to win by.
Oh, that's fighting talk, Radha. Okay, obviously let's get into it. Continental Cup. Is it still important for two clubs that are chasing the European dream? Both teams through to the next round of the Champions League. Both teams chasing the FA Women's Super League. It's the fourth of the League Cup is the Continental League Cup is the fourth of the number four in the rankings of trophies. Um, does it still matter, do you think, to Chelsea and Man City?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you rightly said that it's sort of on the fourth level in terms of tournaments. But I think with the mindset of these big clubs, if they have a tournament that they could win, they're gonna go and win it. It's not something that they look down on and say that, oh, it's okay if we let that one go, because every accolade is more viewership. Every accolade is more something to brag about, something to look back and record that as a statistic too. So I think although it's not very well known and not very well followed, I think the big clubs aren't going to miss out on the opportunity to beat each other and get one up on them. So I think they're going to go, they're going to go out hard. They have something to prove, especially not so much tournament, but the opponent. And I think when you look at the opponent, you're going to bring out your A game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, this is a competition where most people believe that the winner of the tournament will be coming from this game because if you argue the four big clubs in England, include Man United and Arsenal, they're both out of the tournaments already, and everybody's expecting to be a procession once one team is victorious today. But let's look at the form then. Chelsea are in good form. I mean, you've only played two games since the completion of the winter break, but what two games? You've beaten Reading 5-0. And you beat in Manchester United, who were top of the table when you played them. You beat them 2-1. City have had COVID issues. Obviously, we've heard about the players going to Dubai, and four players had COVID, and we've had this situation on the bench. We had people who from the academy, and a lot of City fans I'd never heard of them and didn't know anything about them. I think some of them were still at school. So, do you think all this is going to add together to make it easier for Chelsea because you're in form and then City have had problems, or how do you think this is going to affect the game?
I think if City had put on an average performance against Villa over the weekend, then Chelsea would have been on top. But I think the fact that they had players missing, that their head coach was in isolation just as a precaution, and they came out and put that kind of performance up, they've shown the depth of their bench. And we're not one to take that team lightly. I think you're sort of reverting back to the old 2019 or 18 City team, right, which have been very successful. So um, you would think psychologically that City have gone through this entire COVID issue, and they've had players in and out, and injury, people recovering, whereas Chelsea have been on super hot form. Frank Kirby has been like just out of this world. uh, Someone asked me in the morning, do you think City are underdogs? And I said yes and no, because they're clearly not underdogs. I mean, they have great players, great history, a lot of trophies back in their cabinet, but they might also be underdogs just because of recency effect. All in all, I think it's going to be a very tight game. And if Chelsea don't win this game, it's going to be, I think it might be a little bit of a shock for everyone.
Yeah, I actually think, these two top teams want to keep winning. They want to keep winning games. They want to keep their momentum going. Chelsea, obviously, pushing for the title, well clear of City at the moment, 5 points clear. So that's going to be interesting. So you reckon Chelsea will put out a full strength team? They're not going to be thinking about, I mean, actually, ironically, the next game is against Villa, but you're not going to be thinking about the league. This tournament is worth it, and you're going to put a full strength team out, do you think?
Yeah, 100%. I think keeping all tournaments aside, you look at the opponent. I think that's what I would do, and I think that's what Emma Hayes would do too, because she's not going to go out and say, "Hey, we were saving up for the weekend." Because you reckon with the Villa and Chelsea history, you know that maybe a semi, a 75% side, Chelsea side could beat Villa in that sense, and they're not going to take the opportunity to beat City, and they're going to take that with both their hands. So I think they're going to put out a full side. If not in the starting 11, they're surely going to get them off the bench, depending on the situation. And I truly believe City is going to do the same. I mean, there's nothing to lose. It's a knockout, all the more pressure. Definitely going to come out with 100% on both sides.
Absolutely. So just quickly ask you about the title, because obviously you are top of the table now. You beat Man United, big game. Do you think it's Chelsea's to lose now? I mean, obviously you've got a game in hand over United as well. You're 5 points clear of City, who I would suspect are the only other real challengers. Is it, I wouldn't say a procession, but are you going to win the league this season again?
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea's to lose. I think that's fair to say. At the same time, again, with someone else asked me this the other day, and I said Emma Hayes. I think she's not one to get complacent. She knows how, she's seasoned vet. I think she knows how to take every game as it comes. And at the same time, they're not going to take any team lightly. I think sorry to sort of rub this into your wounds, but Brighton took a point of City too. So I think uh, any team can come up on their day, right? And the head coaches and the players recognize that. So while I'd say it's Chelsea's to lose, being an optimistic Chelsea fan, it's also something that they recognize they have to put in 100% for every game. And with their packed fixtures, it's going to be very crucial on how they navigate their players with enough rest time for each one.
Yeah, okay. Before I ask you for a score prediction, I just want to know who you mentioned. Frank Kirby, and I really like Frank Kirby, but I want to know who you think has been your best player this season, or is it hard to actually pick a best player?
Yeah, I mean, I would say Frank Kirby as of now. Again, recency effect coming into play, but it is hard to pick, because we have Beth England coming off the bench, and she's right up there on the scoring charts, and it's we really have depth in the squad. I think the top four do have that, so it's hard to pick one because we have Frank Kirby threading it through, every 15 minutes, and we have Sam Kerr then actually running and receiving that ball too. And our backline has been phenomenal. I mean, least goals conceded in the league. So I think the unit really comes together well. Emma Hayes and the captain Magda, I think she recognizes that you have to rotate players, and they know who work well with who. So recency, effects. I'm going to say Fran Kirby. I think she's going to have a solid game tonight as well. But having said that, I think football's a team sport. I think that team really makes up the power of Chelsea.
Yeah. How much do you think Frank Kirby has to do to improve to be compared with the best player in the league, which is Sam Mewis?
She might have to take it down a notch. Maybe give the ball away a couple of times, and then you can probably compare her to Sam Mewis. But you know what? I can give you a proper answer. She needs to probably increase 1 foot in height, and she'll be up there with Sam Mewis too. I think they both are fantastic players, both of them in their own right. Sam, obviously, again with US, I think we all saw her red hot form, but that I would have loved to see that midfield clash between both of them. But I reckon Chelsea's going to take it tonight, especially with a couple of key players missing for City too.
Yeah, I think we will have some players missing. I was looking at the bench last for the Villa game. We didn't have Caroline Weir and Kira Walsh. Mm-hmm. They weren't in the squad at all. It makes me presume that at best they'll be on the bench tonight. If they could even make the bench in the last game, I think we're not going to have I don't think we'll have a strong bench at all. But it's going to be a really interesting game. So I've got to ask you for your score prediction.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this quite a lot. I reckon both teams are going to score. I think in a semi-final, a high-pressure game, I think both teams are going to either fault at the back or be really good in the front to score on both ends. I'm gonna take it away with just a 2-1 Chelsea win, but maybe in overtime. Who knows? So yeah, I'm gonna go for a 2-1 Chelsea win. What about you?
I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I'm going to go for a
Mm-hmm.
1-1 draw. Look, Chelsea usually beat us. I think you've beaten us twice this season, if I'm right. I still certainly remember was it twice? Or what? I remember the Community Shield where we were poor. Chelsea absolutely awesome. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw. City to win 5-4 on penalties, with Karen
Love
Barnsley saving the last penalty to be the
it.
hero of the night. So whatever happens, I hope it's a tight game. I hope
Yeah.
no side just gets a 2-goal lead and then it's a
Mhm.
procession and they coast it. I want it to be a really good game all the way through.
Yeah, I love that prediction. I think for anyone watching, this is a perfect exhibition of the top quality women's football. So you don't want to miss out on it. And over here from India, we'll be watching on the FA player for sure. But yeah, hopefully a cracker of a game. And with the stakes that high, although the tournament is low on the rank of tournaments, the semi-final is high. And I think they're going to come out all guns blazing. It's going to be a fantastic
Yeah,
one.
obviously this is the quarterfinal. I think the you get through to the semi next game or next round. I've
Yeah.
got to also mention, obviously, it's a shame once again that the Man City men's team, their game clashes with the women's now. I think it was TV that's uh, making City play so early, and it's a shame that you know I guess the FA could have done something to move the women's game maybe an hour earlier. I don't know. It's a shame that it's impossible to watch both games, and hopefully going forwards, the FA works something out that because a lot of people would have watched
Mhm.
the women's game. We were so excited waiting for this, and then we've had the men's game put in, and a lot of people will now watch the men's game, which is understandable, but
Yeah.
it's a shame because, as I said, we want to be growing the women's game around the world.
Yeah.
I say, Radha, thank you so much. I mean, we've organised this at short notice, so I'm really appreciative of your contribution and coming on and having a chat with us today.
Oh, I absolutely loved it. I'd love to do it some other time as well. All the best to your team, but I think we know which blue will be taking it home tonight.
Light blue, sky blue tonight, sky blue, blue moon.